What's going on, everybody? What's going on? This is Dr. Holly Mays with Bishop Chronicle. Well, I'm sorry, with Daily Manna. I do so many shows, y'all. I'm sorry. With Daily Manna, where we give motivational inspiration and we just try to get you guys pumped up, man, for the next agenda. But listen, guys, I want to get right in this, and I really want to talk about today's topic, man. We're going to be talking about preparing to change the narrative, preparing to change the narrative, and we're going to do this in a three-part series. And I know someone's asking, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean, Dr. Mays, to change the narrative? Well, basically, what it means is it means that we have to start looking at an alternative and changing the status quo. Okay, because there's a lot of things going on. Because right now they just issued out, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. They just issued out some police officers that were just charged because they pulled a black man out of a car during a protest. But watch this: the police officers were black. Okay, the police officers were black. So guys, we're looking at a scenario where it's not just a black and white issue; it's an authoritative issue. And now we have to get to a point where how do we change the narrative? How do we change the storyline? Okay, how do we change the fact that our people don't feel safe in their own home? How do we change that? And that's really what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk to several people today. Okay, I want to motivate and I want to encourage several different types of people. I want to motivate our youth. Okay, because technically our youth don't really know what's going on. Okay, we allow them to express themselves. We allow them to operate in a manner that is free, psychologically, emotionally, but technically they don't know really what's going on. They really don't. They don't understand what's going on. So I want to speak with them. I want to talk from a perspective of love to other cultures that are helping us. Okay, because listen, guys, we could preach black and white all you want, but let's just be very clear. Even through the riots in the 60s and even in the movements in the 70s with the Black Panthers, there were always other cultures that helped us. Okay, and sometimes we can get so angry that we forget that we do have some people that maybe don't understand the pain, but they realize the pain. Okay, they don't understand the struggle, but they realize the struggle. And sometimes when you got somebody that realizes the struggle, that's better than somebody who don't want to have nothing to do with the struggle. It don't mean that they're working against you in the struggle. They just don't want to have nothing to do. So there are some cultures out there, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, that want to team with us and say, hey, listen, we realize this is an issue and we want to help change the narrative. Okay, and I want to talk to our black men and women. Okay, today I want to talk to our black men and women. Why is it imperative that I talk to our black men and women? Well, it's imperative that I talk to our black men and women because, one, we're the ones that are feeling some type of way. We're the ones that are having the issue. We're the ones that are confused and having an issue when it comes to what we do now. How do we get past this? How do we deal with this? So I really want to have a discussion with everybody. But once again, man, for those that are just joining me, I want to let you guys know we are talking about preparing to change the narrative, preparing to change the narrative, okay? So let's get right into it, okay? Real quickly before I get started, man, if you guys want to be a sponsor, certainly want to support the show, our Cash App is down below. Please be a blessing of any sort. It does help us in a mighty way, help us get cameras, lighting, pay production staff, you name it. So we really would love for you to team up with us, partner with us, so we can take Daily Manna, Bishop Chronicles podcast, Daily Dallas Confidential TV to a whole nother platform. So your assistance financially does help. All right, cool. So listen, guys, preparing to change the narrative. Listen, let's talk about what the youth see. Let's talk about that, okay? Because the youth will react based on what the adults do. Let's just say that, okay? The youth will react based on what they see the adults do. If they see the adults are super pissed off and they're angry and they're aggravated, but they're not really giving us a narrative as to why. They're saying, hey, listen, we're tired of this, we're tired of that. And I get that. I'm not knocking that. But when you start telling people I don't like something, but don't tell them why you don't like it, that means that they build up an emotion or a psyche, but it's not warranted. Does that make sense? And I know a lot of people won't understand where I'm going with this, but you have to understand that we have to be very careful what we say and what we put out to the next generation. Because remind you, when all you hard freedom fighters are dead and gone, we have a group of millennials that will have to take up this mantle, and they're going to have to feel this just as passionate as Martin Luther King, Medgar Evans, as you know, some other leaders that have come through the ranks. And if they don't feel it as passionate, they'll dismiss it, and these things will continue to go on. So we got to be very careful with what we say. We have to be very standoffish when it comes to the militant approach, because military versus military, well, let me say this again, street military versus governmental military will never be even. Okay, so as we're talking about things, as we're dealing with things, we have to make sure that we're preparing what we're saying for the next generation. Okay, we got to be very responsible as it pertains to what our friend what we're letting our high schoolers or everybody else come in contact with. We got to be very responsible for that. Y'all excuse me for just a second. That, and a lot of times we get so angry and we get so frustrated that we forget that there are people listening. Okay, hear me with what I'm saying. We get so angry and we get so frustrated that we forget that there are people listening. And when the people that are listening don't have as clear of a vision and message as those that are speaking, they act based on what my dad would call filled in assumptions. Okay? Filled in assumptions. And basically that's guesswork. That's guesswork. That's saying, well, I don't really know why I'm here, throwing bottles at somebody's store, but, based on what I heard earlier, everybody's mad and this seems like a situation to be upset about. So I'm just going to react based on what other people are doing, and that's not good information. There's too many loopholes in that. So we have to be very responsible with the information that we're giving out. We have to be very responsible with the information that we're delivering to our youth. Okay, because they are the future. And we have to let them know that they are the future. And in letting them know that they are the future, we got to also make sure that they understand that, hey, what we're doing now is to be carried on and to be systematically increased and built to go to another level and to be on another platform, okay? All right, so listen, I want to make sure that we're responsible with that, guys, because, man, listen, there's a lot of people that want to do a lot of great things in our society, and it's being overshadowed because you got a lot of people that's doing some crazy stuff. So we got to make sure that we're really, really being responsible when we're putting this out there for our youth, okay? We got to make sure that we're educating them. Okay, and to the youth, listen, this is a situation to be upset about. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a situation to be upset about. And listen, you are one of the smartest generations that have come through civilization yet as of today. And you guys get things very quickly. And because you get things quickly, you see the narrative. You see that there is a racist issue, there's a prejudice issue, but there's also an authoritative issue. It's not just a black and white a white police officer beating on blacks. It's just the police officers beating on civilians in the first place. Okay? And those are the things that we have to make sure that we're homing to our youth, that, hey, listen, this is a problem. This is an epidemic, pandemic that is going on, and it will not stop until we change the narrative. Okay, it will not stop until we change the narrative. We're not trying to survive the narrative. We're trying to change the narrative, because watch this. When you try to survive in a narrative, the problem that happens when you're surviving in a narrative is that you end up dealing with the things that go on, whether they're right or wrong. And that's not kosher. That's not what we need to do as a civilization. We do have to identify right and wrong. We do have to identify that. We have to identify something that we should get rid of and things we should keep. We need to make sure that we work together on system, strategies, and structure. Those are the things that we need to be talking about, okay? And in talking about those things, we need to work those things with our youth. We need to let our youth know, hey, listen, we're behind you with what you're doing as long as you're operating with the right information, okay? We need to make sure that they have the right information, because downtown, I'm in Dallas, y'all, and downtown Dallas is being, I guess, curfewed, not because of grown folks, it's because of youth. But you have to ask yourself, does my youth have all the information to be that angry? Okay? A 40-year-old has the information to be angry. A 50, 60, 70-year-old has all the information, historical information, and probably experienced information to be, or not just information, but you have firsthand encounters to be that upset. So if I saw a 70-year-old walking out there and then throwing a bottle and at a police car or at a building, then I can understand your rage because you have 60 years, 70 years of frustration of dealing with the same thing. You've seen leader after leader die to try to fix this issue, and it just doesn't seem like it. So you have a built up, pent up aggression to where I can understand one moment could cause you to break. But when we're talking about millennials don't have that time. So that means that something else is triggering your that type of fuel. Something else is triggering that. So we got to be very careful about how we give the narrative to the youth. The next thing is I want to talk about my black brothers and sisters. Listen, guys, I completely understand. I'm looking at the Aubrey trial now. Okay, the prelims. Okay, and just to hear, that this gentleman had a chance to get out the neighborhood. We're focused on the situation, on all the issues that have happened. But I specifically want to talk about this Aubrey case because I'm looking at this guy because he actually, and the police officer was kind of doing his route. He actually had the opportunity to leave the place where he was jogging at. He was actually on his way home because he stayed over across the freeway from the neighborhood that he was actually running in. Now, what does that say? That says to me that, listen, we are targets. We are targets. And black men and black women, we have to understand that at any given time, we are targets. And I'm not just saying black men. I'm saying black women as well. Because we are targets. Not because, watch this, I'm going to help you with something. Not because we are a threat. We are a target because we are a threat. I hope somebody got that. We're not a target because we're a threat. We're a target because we're a threat. Threat has two meanings, okay? Threat means to compromise, okay? To compromise, but it can be a compromise of authority, but it could also be a compromise of a takeover, okay? And when you talk about, well, I'm a threat, okay, that means that there's another group of people or another organization, a systematic structure that says, wait, hold on. If we allow them to continue to do what they're doing, then we will become the minority and not the majority. And I'm not trying to make this a racial show. Y'all know me. But at the end of the day, we have to put it where it is. We have to look at it how it is. You understand what I'm saying? And if we're going to look at it how it is, then we have to also address it how they address it. The fact of the matter is we're a threat, but we're not a threat. We're not going to hurt anybody. We're not going to bomb anybody. That's not in our nature. You have to understand the nature of the black man and black woman. It is not to harm, hurt, kill, or destroy unless we are provoked. Okay? So black men and black women, what we have to do is learn our roots and learn our heritage and understand that it's best for us, it's advantageous to us to operate in a manner that is conducive and parallel to the way that we were brought up. But a lot of times they allow us, they try to make us disconnect from where we come from. And we start acting based on the situation and not based on the narrative. And the narrative is that we were actually black kings and queens. The narrative is that we have a stronger foundation. The narrative is that we have a stronger lineage. We have a stronger history. The narrative is that we have purpose. We are the original people. The narrative is we are more educated. We are smarter. We are stronger. We are faster. We are more inventive. We have to understand the narrative. And why I'm talking like that, listen, I'm not knocking anybody else. So I don't want nobody to say, oh, well, he's being pro-black, which I am pro-black. But I want you to understand the facts. The facts is when you know who you are, you don't have to act like who they want you to act like. And that's the facts. If you want to change the narrative, quit acting like the narrator. I think that was good. If you want to change the narrative, you got to quit acting like the narrator. We're not writing this story. They're writing this story. So when they say things like black on black crime, they're writing that story. Okay? When they say, unemployment in the low income black neighborhood, they're writing that story. You don't have to have the same narrative as the narrator. You can change the narrative and let the narrator say whatever he wants, but that doesn't mean that's your story. Does that make sense? So we got to make sure that black men and black women, that we're changing the narrative. Listen, those peaceful protests, those are awesome. Those peaceful, speeches, those are awesome. But we got to make sure that we're giving system, strategy, and structure. That talking is good, the walking is good, the sign holding is good. But let's sit down and let's put system on paper. Let's put structure on paper. Let's put strategy on paper. That's how you change the narrative. The walking, we've been protesting for years about the same thing: injustice, social injustice, cultural injustice, economic injustice. Okay, relationship injustice, educational injustice. We've been talking about this for years. Okay, so it's not like what we're saying is old. This ain't old news. Okay, this is news that we've been dealing with. So now it's time to change the narrative. Now it's time to say, wait, hold on just a second. Now we done protested enough. Heck, we done even supported basic riots. Okay, because the rioting that was done is basic. Let's just be real with it. But at the end of the day, what we have not done is sat at the table with documentation. We have not sat at the table and said, here's our plan to get rid of police brutality. Here is our plan on paper. Now, if they tell you, now watch this now, if they tell you they don't want to have nothing to do with the structure, strategy, and system that's written on paper to change the narrative, then guess what? That means you got a crooked, dirty, and you got a nasty, you got an illegitimate, and you got a satanic narrator. Real talk. That means that they don't want to help you no way. And that goes from the president all the way down to the police chief. If the police chief does not want to sit down with common folk with some sense and some knowledge and take a structured, systematic program that highlights structure, strategy, and system on how to help the city avoid several issues, not just social injustice, but also, watch this, economic injustice, educational injustice, employment injustice, okay? Academic injustice. We're talking about a strategy that's going to help the citizens, not just black folks, but white folks, Asians, and Hispanics. But some of those people don't have to change the narrative. Some of those people are allowed to write their own story. Black folks are the only ones that are not allowed to write their own story. Somebody is always trying to write our story for us. I'm dead serious. Black folks are the only ones where we don't get a chance to be the author and the preface and the acknowledgement and all of that in our own book. Everybody else is writing our own story. Everybody else is engaging in our leniency and our legacy and our structure and how we operate and our history. Everybody else is engaging in that. We never get a chance to write our own narrative. Everybody else, the newscasters, want to write it for us. But if they reject the fact that we are trying to write our own narrative, forget the protesting. No, let's put strategy on paper. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to operate. This is what we're going to allow. This is what we're not going to allow, and put it on paper. Now, somebody asked me the other day, well, Bishop, why don't you just do that? Because that's not a strong suit of mine. I'm willing to have the conversation, which is what we're doing next Friday at our roundtable discussion. We're going to have pad and pen, and we're going to sit down, and I'm going to have some real smart people with me, and we're going to talk about the proper strategy, system, and structure that needs to be put in place. Not only, once again, this is not just a police bashing thing. We're not talking about that. Because, watch this, it ain't just white cops that are bashing black folks. It's black cops that are bashing black folks. Unless y'all not keeping up with the news. Because some protesters are getting drugged, thrown out on the ground, and that's unlawful by black police. How dare them? But that lets you know that's not a cultural thing, that's an authoritative thing. You see what I'm saying? People are abusing their authority. There is no guideline, a fine line with authority. You see what I'm saying? So there's so many narratives that we have to put on paper. There's so many things that we have to address, and we're going to be doing that. Because watch this, all cops ain't bad. Let me just say that right now. Matter of fact, I think I got Overseer McKenneth on here. All cops are not bad. Let me tell you, this is one of the most enlightened, one of the most seasoned, one of the most experienced, God-fearing, best, man, listen. But he's a police officer for the state of New York. Trust me when I tell you he's not a bad guy. I've had conversations with this man. I've talked with this man. We've shared, we've communed together. So I know this is not, so it's not about police officers, it's about police organization and infrastructure. That's the problem. You can be a great person just in a bad organization. I mentioned this yesterday. So we have to put down on paper what we need to be doing, how to change the narrative. What are we going to do? How are we going to get their training? If the police chief does not want new training for her officers, she's not fit to be police chief. If you're not telling me, I talked about rules of engagement and escalation yesterday, okay? Escalation and de-escalation. We need to write down the narrative because as of right now, the police, sheriff, and constable do not have a written document for rules of engagement. You want to know why they don't have it? Because that's not a peace officer type thing. That's a military tactic. Rules of engagement is a military tactic, not a police tactic. Police officers are peace officers. They're peace officers. They are taught how to provide customer service with the forefront of peace to the people that pay them. No, I don't mean no disrespect. I really don't, because I value those that are really about the badge. But there's too many that's coming out that's making the organization seem bad. So they need structure. They need strategy. So black men, black women, that's what we need to get together and do. We need to provide structure, strategy, and system and hand over documents. You know what I'm saying? We need to hand over documents and say, y'all, let's discuss this. Forget the talking. Forget the fight the power and all that. We done tried that for 200 years. We done tried to get freedom internationally for years. That ain't working. Y'all don't listen to talk. Y'all don't listen to pleads and propagandas. Y'all don't listen to that. So now let's talk about structure. We're bringing the thing that can fix it to the table. If you say you don't want to do that now, then you are the weakest link. That goes from the police chief. That goes to the commission. I don't care whether it's John Wiley Price. That goes, if you are not willing to sit down and look at what the people, and I'm talking about folk that are smarter than you, if you are not willing to sit down and discuss paperwork on strategy, systems, and structures, I call them the 3 S's, on how to fix this issue, then you need to be pulled out of office. You do not need to be working in a governmental position. You do not deserve that type of authority because guess what? You are misusing it. And when you misuse it at that level, the police officers, which is at a lower level, will misuse it because they say if they can do it, why I can't do it? Their example is bad. And I know people don't like hearing this, but I'm being very honest with you. So next week, we are having a sit down. And listen, we're going to have this on Facebook Live because I understand there are people across the nation that want to be a part of this that's just not able to come. So it's okay. We'll be on Facebook. We'll be on Facebook Live. And listen, this is not a, hey, let's see how many views we can get. No, I want people to come and give their agendas. I want people to come and give structure, strategy, and system. And listen, we will pull you up live. So if Officer McKinnon, if Officer McKinnon want to join in, guess what? We will put him on the screen live, and we will talk and listen to what his agenda is, and we will be able to write it down. We'll do all that stuff. And when we leave, we're going to have page after page after page of documentation, of strategy and system and all these things that we're going to literally walk up to City Hall. And I don't care how many people with me because I don't want to talk to people at City Hall. I don't want to sit up here and do all that. I want to put something on paper that's going to allow you to say, hey, guess what? These are the changes. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. These are the changes. Let's talk about it. If you don't want to do that, then why are you in an office that says or denotes that you want to listen to your people? So listen, guys, I'm encouraging you. And listen, and as I get ready to get out of here, I want to talk to our other cultural brothers and sisters. I want to talk to them. Listen, don't let people deter you or scare you from at least realizing the problem. Don't let people do that. Don't let your neighbors, your grandparents, your friends, your brothers, your co-workers, your pastor, your choir members, don't let nobody deter you from realizing the underlying problem. This is not just a social problem, okay? This is a governmental problem. This is, once again, an economical problem, an educational problem. There's all types of injustices going on. And I would be remiss just to make it a black and white issue. Absolutely not, because I got Asian friends that are being stereotyped. If you ask somebody right now, what person would play a karate character, all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, Asian person, that's stereotypical. But I can tell you 5 brothers, including Michael Jai White, that knows 5 styles of kung fu and martial arts, and is a 5-time black belt. He'll whoop anybody that walk up on him. So let's not act like we're stereotypical just on a black and white. We're stereotypical across the board. So everybody that's in another culture and you want to team up with us, you want to come together and you want to try to make this thing right, listen, you got my number. You can hit me on various things. Get with me, guys, because I want to send a documentation to City Hall and say, these are the propagandas, let's fix it. These are the issues, let's fix it. I want to have that seat at the table. I don't want to be in front of no cameras. I'm not going to tell Channel 4 this. I'm not going to tell Channel 5 this. I don't need no limelight. I need folks to fix it. But sometimes asking people to fix something that they don't know how to fix or don't have no clue of is just like talking to a brick wall. We don't even realize that sometimes we're asking people to do something they don't have the resources, education, and power to do. Y'all hearing what I'm saying? So we have to understand when we're asking people to do something that, hey, maybe we just got this to the wrong person. Y'all talking about Trump. Trump don't run nothing. Trump is a mouthpiece. You think the United States government is dumb enough to let somebody like Trump run something and rule something? He is a puppet, a muppet, and all of that. He is a joke. He will not win the next election. They'll bring Kermit the Frog up here to run before they allow him to win again. He's embarrassed them. He's embarrassed. He's an embarrassment to the United States of America, and his entire cabinet, all the way down to Ben Carson, is an embarrassment. So listen, y'all don't let them fool y'all. Y'all don't let them trick y'all. Let's get to the nitty gritty and let's take agenda to City Hall. Let's tell the City Hall, no, listen, we don't want to talk. Listen, we want you to read. So listen, guys, I appreciate you guys. Listen, white folks, black folks, Asians, Hispanics, listen, we're all one human race. God made all of us. He didn't make black folks better than y'all. He didn't make white folks better than us. He didn't make Asians or Africans. God made everybody the same. Quit talking about God, but you don't want to talk about unity. I can't hate no white man just because that white man hate me. That's not God. And not to use God in the same breath. They can say whatever they want. I'm not going to say that. So we have to be ready, guys. We got to prepare to change the narrative. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow, guys, with part 2, man. We're going to be talking about some real itemized things, man. I'm not going to throw it away. But listen, I encourage you guys to come right back tomorrow at 11 a.m., man, where we're going to be talking about daily manna. This is just food for your soul, guys. This is food for your mind and food for thought, man. Something you can go through today and come back on and just really regurgitate, man. So listen, man, I love you guys with the love of the Lord. Remember to uplift Christ wherever you go. Listen, if this show had been a blessing to you and we have sparked the endorphins in your mind, please, we want you to help us out, man. We want you to be a blessing to us at Cash App, Dr. Holly Mays, okay? Dr. Holly Mays. We got some other stuff coming to you guys in the future, man. We want you to connect with us. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bishop Chronicles Podcast, man. Remember, guys, I love you guys with the love of the Lord. Remember to uplift Christ wherever you go. And do me a favor, make the rest of your day the best of your day. God bless you guys. Peace.